Hello, welcome to another mobility session. We're just going to flow through, as ever, a full body flow. I'm going to focus in a little bit around areas that we maybe don't think about more often, so like the toes, the ankles, the wrists and the hands, and the neck into the traps a bit, and work out how to stretch off those areas too. So a few things that we haven't done in sessions so far, and a few things that we have to flow through. So we're going to start off with our regular, fairly physical flow through some movements, kind of yoga style, and then work into other areas. So find yourself a space on your mat or in your comfortable space. Feet together, back of your mat. Going to reach up, breathe in. Breathe out and fold forward. We're going to roll straight up today, picking your tummy button towards your spine, rolling up through the spine. Shoulder blades roll back twice at the top. Breathe in, reach up. Breathe out, lower. Rolling up. Focusing on being connected to the floor today. So spreading your toes a bit. Reaching up, breathing in, digging the big toe and the ball of the foot into the floor. Breathe out, lower. You're going to heel in here as well, bend the knee if you need to. Tummy button in towards the spine. And you're going to lift one arm up to your side, bicep in towards your ear, palm in to begin with. And we're going to take the other hand down the side of the body and just lean slightly over to one side. Try not to lean forward. And back to the middle. And repeat. Slowly take that hand down the side of the leg. If anything, slightly looking up as we come up now. Slightly looking up towards the sky, just to make sure that we're not dipping forward in the shoulder. And up to standing, hand down. We're going to reset, breathe in, reach up, fold, roll up through the spine. Shoulder blades roll back, other arm is going to come up. Bicep to the ear, hand down by the side of the body. Slowly take that hand down the side of the leg, stretching off down the side of the ribs and shoulder, into the low back, mid back. You might feel this all over. Back up to the middle slowly. And again, just making sure that if anything, our eyes are slightly up towards the sky and our shoulder is over our shoulder as it goes, coming up now, rather than our shoulder dropping in front of the other shoulder. We're just keeping it tracking in line, like our body's folding into a standing F shape. Okay, and standing, reset, breathe in, reach up, breathe out, lower. This time we're going to walk out from here to our high plank. Breathe in. As you breathe out, you're going to lower. You can come through the knees. Breathe in to up dog. Squeezing the bum to take some tension out. The low back if you need to. And coming through the knees if you need. Tuck the toes. Breathe out, lift the hips into down dog. 2 deep breaths. Pushing the shoulders away from the hands, digging the fingers into the floor. Come onto your tiptoes, bend your knees, push your chest nearer to your knees. Push that chest right down. And now start to straighten the legs again. And coming back up to a high plank. Breathe in. Breathe out lower. Breathe in, up dog. Breathe out, down dog. Couple of deep breaths, push your shoulders away from the hands. Tiptoes, chest towards the thighs. Heels slowly down. Back to a high plank. Breathe in. Breathe out, lower. Breathe in, up dog. Breathe out, down dog.
Push the shoulders away from the hands, dig the fingers into the floor. One more time on the toes. Push the chest towards the thighs. Slowly lower the calves. Walking in with the hands towards the feet. Slowly planting the heels down, bending the knee if you need to. Staying here in this hanging position. We're going to twist to one side. Hold on to one leg. See if we can do like we did last time. Pushing through that rib cage or through that hip on the twisted over side. And coming back to the middle. Other side. Taking a hand across. As low down the leg as you can. And we're going to pull toward that shoulder. And towards that hip. And back to the middle. Rolling up to standing.
Okay, we're going to start around the toes now. So planting yourself on one foot, spreading the toes. All of the foot and the toe digging into the floor. We're going to take this other foot and we're going to bend it over onto the toe knuckle and apply some pressure to the outside of the big toe knuckle. Trying to get the front of the ankle as straight as possible. Little pulses now, just really, really slow. I'm rocking slightly forward and back, slightly forward and back, just through those tendons on the top of the foot. Okay, moving that foot down, planting that foot and the toes and the ball of the foot, taking the other foot, and then bending the toes forward, stretching the top of the foot and into the top of the ankle if we can, bringing the knee back and slightly pulsing forward and back. If you cramp up in this position, just come out of it, stretch the foot straight again, and then come back into this position. Okay, we're going to come into the ankles, so we're going to come into a forward lunge, stepping forward, and we're going to go right down into a long lunge. I'm going to focus on this front ankle first to begin with. So you're going to take your body weight over onto this leg and see if we can push right over into this ankle on the front leg, and you can keep the back toe tucked like this, or you can point it behind. You're going to think about squeezing this muscle and driving that hip forward, keeping this lower tummy not just completely sticking out, but slightly active and squeezed in as you just pulse over this front ankle. Adding in some body weight if you need to lean over, and that might add in more of a stretch here. Little pulses. Thinking about digging the foot into the floor, spreading the toes, balls of the feet, big toe, heel into the floor, and just pushing your ankle range, firing up around the toes and the ankles there. Okay, we're going to come back to a kneeling position. Tucking the toes, I'm going to come into a toe sit before we go into the ankle on the other side. So tucking the toes under, coming back, and seeing if we can dig the big toe, the big toe knuckle into the floor, and not coming out on the feet like this, rocking onto the inner big toe. And again, just pulsing back slightly. Just noting if you've got one side that feels slightly tighter than the other. Perhaps this is a really uncomfy position for you. You need to come out of it, tuck the toes back, pointing away, and then come back into the toe sit. Coming up to tall kneeling, let's go into that lunge on the other side. So I started with my toe tucked at the back, so we came in from standing, but you can have it either way. I'm going to come into this long lunge, place our body weight onto this leg here, leaning over if you need to, and placing your weight through that front ankle. And we're just going to find a comfy position that is slightly less than comfy, and just rock forward over that foot, digging the foot into the floor, spread the toes, dig the big toes and the balls of the foot as you rock over, thinking about squeezing this back glute forward as well, driving that back hip down to the floor, waking up all around the foot and the ankle, perhaps the shin, perhaps the calf, the Achilles, wherever you feel this, absolutely fine. If you need to come out of it for a second and back in, you can do. Just staying here, focusing on getting that foot planted to the floor while we stretch over the ankle. Okay, and we're coming back to a tall kneel. We are tucking the toes again, feet together, big toe now. And we're gonna keep the ankles locked together with those big toes if we can. And then just slowly, slowly go back and see if we can sit right into that toe sit. Okay, we're going to stretch off the front of the ankle again. So untuck your toes, come into a kneeling position, and see if you can point the toes behind you. If you can, great. If you can with your ankles rolled out, also fine. If you can do it with your heels further in and you can force that, you're going to feel a stronger stretch down the central bit of the front of the ankle and the shin. So again, we're just going to pulse back into this. Perhaps a lot of the poses and stuff we do today doesn't look like we're doing much, but for sure feels like we're doing a lot. It's just quite localized to specific areas of the body. And coming in and out of this if you need to. I'm aware this is fairly strong. Okay. Okay, we're going to come up into tall kneeling again. I'm going to try and take one leg out in front into a high lunge again. And then letting this back leg slightly twist over your mat. We're going to take the inner leg forward into the middle and just onto the outside of the foot. So you're just going to turn your foot so that the edge, the outside of the foot there, is planted. If you've got your balance and you can straighten this back leg again, fine. But if you need that slight twist in the back leg to stabilize, also fine. Hips are going to face forward. And what we're going to do is think about sending the hips back and up. Keeping it straight, hips back and up. With a bend in that front leg, sending both hips back. Trying to keep the steep core slightly active. You feel a stretch down the sort of nerve pathways all down, possibly from your foot, possibly down the side or the front of the ankle, down the side of the calf, through the knee. This depends totally where you are tight. You also might feel that back leg firing up on the hip flexors right now, or the glute. And you might feel it pinching in here as well. Okay, we've done about 10 of these, and we're going to do one more, and we're just going to come back to tall kneel and sit down for a second. Just pulsing this time even further, if we can, to pulse the knees off the floor and rock into the ankles. So far we've done loads around the toes and the ankles, and we'll switch it up a little bit to more wrists and upper in a minute. Coming into tall kneel, taking that back leg slightly across about 30 to 45 degrees. This leg comes out in front into the middle of your mat and rocking onto the side of the leg. Hips face forward, deep core slightly engaged, just not completely out like this. Okay, and we're just going to send the hips back. Feel that neural tension down the side of that front leg. Hips back. Slow movements. Really interesting way to stretch all down the outer edge of the top of the foot, the outer edge of the calf and the shin. All areas that without massaging are really hard to stretch off and take a lot of brunt from running, skipping, etc. Okay, just keep them going while you feel the same sensations in some parts, perhaps new sensations if you've got one side that's slightly tighter than the other in different places. Just until you get that same firing up of the muscles that were switched on. Until we've done about 10 or 11. And we're going to come back. Sit again, relax onto the feet if we can, whatever's more relaxed for you. And this time we're going to bring one leg up at a time. So again, toes tucked under your heels, tucked under your hips if you can. Pulling one leg up and down. Pulling the other leg up and down. Just going to keep going until we've done 10 slow marches. Again, this is a real strong stretch down the front of the ankle into the lower shin. Just keep it matching. Slow, slow, slow. Okay, let's come into some wrist, and then we'll come into some spine work, and then we'll do our breathing. So wrists, we're going to come down to our all fours position. You can tuck the toes here if you need to. Now relax, because the ankles have worked quite a lot so far. So digging the fingers, spreading them, and we're going to dig them into the floor for 3 seconds. Dig them in, 2, 3, and relax. Slightly rocking over for 5 pulses. And then we're going to do the same thing. Dig, 1, 2, 3, and relax, and rocking forward for 5 pulses. This time as you dig, I want you to think about activating your deep core, so sucking your tummy button in towards your spine, slightly pulling the ribcage down, and rather than being in this cow position here, we're just going to come to neutral spine. Okay, so digging the fingers in now, 2, 3, relax and rocking forward for another 5. Okay, wrists are going to turn the other way, fingers are going to point towards you, and you're going to see if you can come into this position here. Spread the fingers slightly. Okay, and we're going to rock back and pulse into the toes if we can. Just supporting some of our weight through the toes. We're getting a little bit of a double whammy here. Revisiting the toe and the foot, and pulling into the wrist. Okay, we are going to go into a thoracic stretch. So bringing the hands back to a front position, fingers pointing forward. We're going to come through with one arm, through this gap here, and see about sort of pinning the arm down with the other arm. And from here, we're just going to pull over towards the other side, rocking the hips away towards the other side and looking back the other way. And then thinking about really pulling back into that hip, locking your shoulder and your arm down to the floor. And letting the spine bend now, letting the spine curve and just pull towards that side. Feeling the pull down the side and the outside of the shoulder and the lower back, perhaps into the lats, deep into the lower back. And just rocking now back and forward slightly over this angle. And relaxing the head, coming back up to a kneeling position. Okay, I'm going to do the same the other side, taking this arm through, and we're going to lock the arm down a bit. You're just going to rock the hip back the other way just to get a feel for it. Locking the forearm down towards the floor. You're going to turn the head this way, and then we're going to slightly pull over to this side. Keep pulling out, let the spine bend, push that rib cage out towards the side as well as the hip. Keep big, big breaths going. Okay, I'm coming back up to this all fours position here. Now we're going to take one leg up and across into pigeon and carry on that deep stretch down the neural side of the leg here. So coming to bring one leg up towards the middle and seeing if we can take it over to one side. Just having our hand outside of the hand, we're going to see from here if we've got this tension already, how far back can we go? And we're just going to pulse back here. So again, you might feel this kicking off all down the side of this ankle here. You might feel it tension in here. You might feel pinging down here. It's going to vary for everyone. Okay, and then coming slightly forward with the leg and back. Slightly forward and back. One more time, forward and back. And this time we're going to see if we can take the hands out slightly further and see if we can lower the leg down towards the floor, letting the knee drop out. Just pulsing into that a little bit. And now you're going to turn towards your front knee and push round to that side. It's going to dig in even more to the back of the glute on that stretch side and possibly into the lower back on that far side.
Okay, back to the middle, slowly take that leg back and out. We're going to think about bringing the other leg up to the middle, up and across, and hand just out to the side of the foot to block it a bit. We're going to think about rocking forward and back, and we're just going to sit back in this position a sec, pulsing back. And rocking forward and back. Rocking forward and back. Now one more time, rocking forward and back. This time, hands out a bit more in front if you need. We're just going to try to drop that knee out and down to the floor, still supporting some weight with your arms. Dropping the knee down if you can, but without changing the hip angle really hard. Okay, and we're going to turn towards the front knee, twist around, deepen that stretch in the glute. Okay, back to the middle. Take that leg back, and we're going to walk up to standing, coming into a straddle position, standing wide with your feet wide. Again, we're going to plant the feet now, so that we know all that connection we've worked on so far is going to focus on areas deeper up the glutes, the hamstrings, and the low back. So reaching up, really reach up through the fingers, and keeping that reach, you're going to send your hips back and see how far you can fold with straight legs and straight body and straight arms. When you get stuck, I want you to relax the arms and then see if you can relax the shoulders and come even further down. If you need to pop a slight bend in the knees, you can do so. If you're all the way at the floor, I want you to bring your hands together and aim to pulse so that your forearms can reach down towards the floor, keeping your hands up here. Neutralize your neck now, so you're not craning up, and your neck can just carry on that curved line down from your back. And then however far down you are, when you think about reaching up, looking forward, and lowering again, relaxing the spine. And reaching up, looking forward, and lowering again. And reaching up. From here, we're going to see if you can walk your way over to one side, to one leg. And from here, you're just going to take your head down towards your leg, pulling yourself down if you can. And coming up, across, other leg, pulling yourself down towards your leg if you can. And up, back to the middle. Slowly walk the heels and the toes in, heels, toes, heels, toes. Just slightly small, steady steps in. Staying folded, bending all the way over. And once more, rolling up, tummy button up, rolling up through the spine. Reach up one more time, take the arms back, reach up, arms back, and one more time, reach up, and arms back. Okay, I want you to come into a lying position, seated or lying on your mat, and we're just going to do 10 minutes of guided breathing. So lying or sitting in a comfortable position. And what I want you to do is, when you're comfy, you're going to close your eyes. Okay, we're going to scan down the body using a breathing count. Today, we're going to breathe in for 3, hold for 2, breathe out for 3, hold for 2. So let's start that together now. We're going to breathe in, 2, 3, hold, out, 2, 3,
hold. In, 2, 3, hold. Out, 2, 3, hold. In, 2, 3, hold. Out, 2, 3, hold. In, 2, 3, hold. Out, 2, 3, hold. I want you to do another couple of minutes on your own time now. Still holding at the top and counting for 3 and holding. When you breathe in, you're still doing the same tempo. And when you breathe out, you're still doing the same tempo. So counting your breath, listening to my voice, we're going to scan through the body. So the crown of the head today, we're going to start at the top, focusing on our breathing. We're going to scan down from the top of the head, past the point at the back of the head where the head's relaxing into the mat. Tension in our brow, we want to push it down. Maybe wiggling the face as we feel that tension. Metaphorically, actually physically relaxing and passing out the brow, the cheekbones, down past the jaw, focusing on your breathing. As we come past the neck, do you need to readjust your shoulders slightly longer? Do we need to relax through the neck, through the shoulders? Check in with your breathing. And past the neck, the low neck at the back, we're going to go into the traps, feeling the tension come down past the shoulders. How do the shoulders feel on the floor today or seated? Does one feel in a different position to the other? As we go down the arms, scanning past your biceps and your elbows, through your forearms, maybe you're reaching the fingers just as we settle into this, focusing in once more on our breathing. Coming back to the top of the chest and scrolling down the sternum, bottom of the rib cage, coming into that diaphragm, stomach area. So really noting how your breathing is feeling now. Does your body feel heavy against the floor today? Perhaps you feel you really need this recharge and relax session. Scanning down past the belly button to the lower abdomen, into the hips. How do the hips feel? Do you need to relax those glutes, relax the hips and let them sink into the floor? Relax through the fronts of the legs, the hip flexors down through the quads, past the knees. Checking in with your breathing. Past the calves, push that tension out if you feel it. If you feel nice and relaxed, fantastic. Coming down past the lower calf into the ankle, through the feet, through the arches of the feet, balls of the feet, through the toes. And I want you to settle into your natural breathing rhythm now. I want you to check in. What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you feel in your body, lying nice and still where you are or sitting nice and still today? And how does your vision feel? We've got our eyes closed, but can you see anything through your eyelids today? Can you see light? Can you see dark? What can you smell? What can you see? What can you taste? Check in with all those senses. And focusing in on your natural breathing rhythm. Okay, we're going to move to a small bit of visualization today. And we're just going to replay something perhaps we practiced before. Or perhaps we have a new short-term or long-term target that we want to hit. That is a physical movement at the gym, out and about. Perhaps it's technique, running, climbing, jumping, lifting. Perhaps it's everyday movement, walking up and down the stairs, in and out of the car, something that requires focused movement. You're going to pick something that you want to practice today. We're going to do that 3 or 4 times. We're going to think about it in our mind's eye and using the same parts of the brain, just checking in with your breathing again. We're going to practice these tasks in our mind with real physical practice in mind as well. Okay, so in this scenario, with this task you want to perform, where are you? Perhaps other people are with you. What do you feel and what do you see in that moment? Get present in that moment in your mind's eye, and I want you to focus in again on your breathing. And imagine the physical sensations that that task is going to take on your body. And you're actually going to perform this task in your mind. So on your next inhale, you're going to prepare. And on the exhale, you're going to perform your task in your mind in 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. So perhaps that felt uncomfortable today, perhaps you're loving it today, perhaps you're feeling really in charge of this visualization, you're getting good at it. Perhaps this is something you've imagined for weeks now and you're just getting better, both at being present in your body right now in this practice and also in your visualization. Let's try again. So checking in, if it didn't feel quite right, what can we notice about the scenario that is differing this time? Do we feel different? Do we know what it's going to feel like this time physically when we do it? I want you to focus in on your breathing. And on our next inhale, we're going to prepare to perform the task. And as we exhale, we're going to perform the task in 3, 2, 1. And if you feel that wasn't quite so successful, that is fine. If you're feeling that in that preparation time you're checking out, I just want you to focus in on your breathing again. And that will be your only focus for today, is breathing. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. This time I want you to repeat a mantra to yourself. If you had one last week, perhaps the same one, or perhaps you've been exploring this in your training and you have a mantra that you have been asserting to yourself while you've been training. And it may be as simple as, come on, you know you can do this. It may be, I'm an athlete. It may be, I believe I can do this. Whatever that assertion is and whatever that positive reinforcement is that's going to help you, I want you to repeat that mantra to yourself in your visualization, in your present body, before you perform the task. Repeating that mantra to yourself now. On our next inhale, we're going to prepare for our last practice of this visualization. Inhale, and as we exhale, prepare in 3, 2, 1. And hopefully that was slightly more successful than last time. And hopefully you feel across the few attempts that you have some continuity, or that you've made some progress, or that perhaps you've just noted some interesting thoughts surrounding that goal of yours. We're going to check in with the body again now. So I want you still focusing on your breathing, but you're just going to wiggle the toes and wiggle the fingers, rolling the ankles and rolling the wrists around now. Lifting through the shoulders perhaps, just moving through the middle of the body. Picking up the knees, bending the knees, and just sitting your low back into the floor again, or if you're seated, just feeling your spine and your hips just wiggle from side to side. Perhaps the neck wants to move slightly side to side. And slowly, perhaps covering the eyes, we're just going to open the eyes and come back into the room. Yay! So we've done another awesome practice. We're going to roll over to one side or rolling up, whatever is comfy with how relaxed your body feels right now. Rolling up to this seated position. Okay, that is our session for today done. So thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoyed that session.